Check, test, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, hi there. Okay, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Happy September. Hope you had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Let me mute that out so we're not listening to that. On top of that, yeah, we're on. Hi, Tom. Hi, Judy. So glad to see you're here. Round Town Scouter checking in from Carlsbad. Eric Myers is out in Indiana. Gary D checking in from Arizona. Hi, Scotty. Hope you're doing well. So glad that you could make it on this. Well, summer's over. Maybe. We had rain all weekend. And so much for those folks that were camping on Labor Day. they camped in the rain. I've camped in the rain. It's no big deal, but you know, it does hurt, especially like if you got kids and stuff. Robert Black checking in. Still over 100 in Texas. 114.3. Can you tell the difference between the 114.3 and 113.9? Hi, too. I was just reading your email. I haven't had a chance to research it, but I will look for an answer from me in the morning. I've been out working on the truck camper all day. Finished up the siding. You get to see the video this Sunday. We'll be putting the siding underneath the cab over and on the front of the cab and stuff like that. So look for that on Sunday. On Thursday will not be a premiere, but another episode of Retro on the Road will drop. And for those of you that watched the first episode, thanks. It's a little crunchy, a little rough. Okay, thanks, Jeff, for letting me know. Check test. Let me see if I can crank it up a little bit. I was doing something else, and so it got turned down a hair. Is that any better, Jeff? It looks like it should be okay. It's still probably a little low. I'll cozy up to this mic a bit more and get it down here so it's not in my face. Hang on here. This is a cardioid mic, so I have to adjust it. Okay, so I hope that's a little better. It looks like it should be. Probably just a tad low still. Let me check here. All right, well, let me try one more thing real quick. See if I can crank it up here a little bit. This might get a little loud. Check test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check test. Okay, let's try that. There's only 5 different places you have to go and make adjustments. Okay, so how's that sound there? Looks pretty good from this end. Let me pop this off here. Get a little loud. Check test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check test. Okay, let's try that. All right, that sounds good. Okay, so I hope everybody had a good time over the holiday weekend and you had a great month in August. I was talking about the truck camper and some upcoming stuff. So on Thursday, there'll be another Retro on the Road drop where I'm traveling from Boise up to Island Park. Island Park is a place that I love. It's about, maybe 75 miles north of where I'm at right now. But I get there many times over the years that I full-time RV'd. And so I invite you to be sure and check that out. And then Sundays will be a premiere of sighting. And then we have, I'll probably have, let's see, yeah, I'll have one more sighting video per se where I'm putting the roof on, finishing up the nose, the cab over, and then we start to finish the trim out. I'll also be working on the electrical starting probably next week. I've had all the parts, excuse me, to do the electrical since last fall, with the exception of a couple of minor pieces, a couple of terminator bars, or a couple of uh, uh, that's not what I want to say. But anyway, a couple of minor things that are here now. I ordered here just in the last week because I was going through and laying out parts, make sure I know what's going on. I'll tell you what, working with that metal is scratchy, get you, cut you. Man, I've had more bad cuts. I got a bad one on my arm right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's finally starting to heal up. And of course, whenever metal cuts you or scratches you, it just turns into this sore. It just is sore. Hey, George, a.k.a. Dad, checking in. Got his flooring done. I got an email from him. Was it an email? No, I think it was a comment on one of the videos. I don't know. I get so much communication anymore. Facebook and Instagram and all this stuff. I can't keep up. I probably could if I put the effort into it, but I don't want to. Tom Downey says 65 degrees today. It would be. It's 65.8 right now at my house. We had a nice, calm day after a weekend of pretty heavy rain. We got over an inch this weekend, which is a fair amount for us. But so if you do have any questions related to RVing or anything like that, be sure and throw them in the chat. This is a potpourri. I had a regular viewer had made a comment, and I intended to do that this week, but time got away from me about doing a topic for every live stream. And so I would be open to some ideas on topics you'd like to see me cover next month. Probably once winter gets here, I'll probably be able to go back to doing these weekly, since I won't have so much stuff going on. But for right now, we'll keep it on the monthly schedule. So the next one will be October, I think it's the 4th. Just a minute, I'll go grab a quick pick here. It is, October 3rd will be the next live stream. And so yeah, if there's something that you would like to see me cover, at the next live stream, just drop a comment or send me an email, trbolin@gmail.com, and I'll throw that on the list, and we'll chat about something that you might be interested in next time. Truck technician checking in. Hey, dude. He says he just finished a cedar closet in the travel trailer. Good to see my camper is coming along. Yeah, it should be done by the end of the month. All things as they are right now. I did have to buy a new door for the battery bay. The battery bay door was just hammered. I'm kind of thinking that I might have to replace the door on the propane. I think I got it fixed. I won't know until I get it put together. And otherwise, I'll probably have to buy a door for that. There are several companies out there that custom make doors. They'll make them any size you want to order. It takes about 3 to 6 weeks to get the door in. So if I have to buy a custom fit door for that, I might, because it is a dual, there's two 20-pound propane tanks in there, which means you got a lot of propane, but they do take a fair amount of space and a bigger door. And then the last challenge that I've had here recently is that up over the bed, the truck up over the bed on the cab over, there is an egress hatch. And it's a larger hatch. It's, probably this big. It's big enough that you can crawl out to egress from the camper in case you're in trouble, or you want to pop up and pop somebody that's bothering you. Anyway, and I cannot find one of those per se. I found several, but they're like $600. They're more like escape hatches, crazy stuff. So I'm still scrounging around trying to find one of those. I'm going to reuse the old one for now, but I do want to replace it. Mostly I just want to replace the cover, the plastic cover. I think the hatch itself is fine. And then I'd also like to find one that has a fan in it. So kind of have high expectations. We'll see how that works out. Tom Downey wants to know, am I going south this year? No. I might I might get out for a couple days, maybe around the Gem and Mineral Show down in Tucson, which is usually like starts around the second week of January. I would really like to try to get down there for that. However, I don't know if that will work out this year or not. I just heard some thunder. I just popped over to the radar. It looks like we got a little fetch of rain. So if it does start to rain, I might have to run real quick. I do have things covered up. Excuse me while I peek out here. Fingers crossed that it doesn't rain hard. 32 inches standard. Okay, thanks, Tom. This one's, I don't think 32. I think it might be 24. I'm trying to remember because I reframed it, but gosh, that was last fall when I built the frame for it. And I don't remember the dimensions. I don't remember what happened yesterday most days. But yes, two feathers. I am thinking about my next project. Possibly on a Toyota truck, maybe. Here's the deal. I've had lots of time to think about this. And frankly, I don't want to do another project outside. It's just the logistics of keeping it dry. You can't really work on it in the winter. I don't want to be outside freezing my ass off, at 20 degrees trying to work on a project. As I've said, and it might be, I don't remember, it might be coming up in this next video. It might have been the last one too, I don't recall, but I had a little heart-to-heart where I talked about some of the issues that I've run into with this. Honestly, the working outside, like I say, dealing with tarps has been my biggest nemesis. They get tore up in the wind. You forget to put them down. A big gust of wind comes along. It rips the eyes out. And I've given up buying the cheap tarps from Harbor Freight. I bought some very expensive tarps in the last couple months. I probably have, I don't know, I might be over exaggerating here, but I probably have invested at least $500 in tarps, and it's just not workable. It just isn't workable long term. I mean, it was fun, and my yard is small. That's by design. I bought a smaller house with a small yard. I didn't want a big yard to take care of. So I have limited space to put up like a shop or a garage, although I am scheming on a garage. I have a garage now, but I'm thinking about maybe making it bigger. Still thinking about that. But yes, so I am thinking about maybe doing something on a Toyota truck, something in a lightweight type of a camper that would set on a Toyota Tundra. So definitely thinking about that. Also thinking about a couple other things. Considering maybe getting a small scamp. One of those little small scamp trailers. They're pretty intriguing to me, and maybe getting one of those and I'm going to say refurbishing, not restoring. I hope I don't have to do a big full restore like I had to do on the truck camper. Although I've had a lot of fun doing it, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining at all. It's been a heck of a lot of fun. So anyway, Eric Meyer says, how about repairing RV parts inside? Um, that's a thought. I really don't have an inside per se. My garage is pretty small as it stands right now, but all things are possible. Like I say, I'm considering doing something with the garage, something different. Two feathers. Toyota Coma 6 foot bed. Yes. Tom Downey says, "What gauge do I need to read amps in line if you disconnect the battery cable?" Well, which cable? I mean, if you're not connected to the battery, you don't have a circuit. You you would need with a standard circuit, you would use a clamp-on amp meter, Tom. So I'm not sure. Are you trying to see if you've got sneak current? Let's see what gauge. Okay, Brenda Yankowski. Yankowski. Brenda Yankowski. Hi, Brenda. Sorry about brutalizing your name too much. In an earlier video, I recommended Henry Tropicool roof treatment for the RV. Since that is silicone based, what seam treatment and patches can be used on that? What do you recommend? Seams, I always recommend lap sealant. I'm assuming the roof, so you're going to want to use a lap sealant on all of the seams on your roof and around all of the vents and penetrations. You'll use Dicor. I recommend Dicor. Yeah, there's cheaper ones out there, but they're cheaper for a reason. Dicor self-leveling lap sealant. I got a whole case of it out here that I bought for a different project that I didn't actually use it for. So if somebody's looking for a few tubes of that, I'd make you a deal on it. It doesn't have a shelf life. I mean, it's good for probably 5 more years. And then patches. I'm assuming what you're saying is maybe that the roof itself is torn or damaged. Is that what you're saying, Brenda? In that case, if it's, say, the roof itself out in the out of the perimeter or the body of the RV, and there's a tear or something in it, then I would use a Turnabond ED PM tape. I got some right here. Just a minute. This is 4-inch, 50-foot roll. But what this is that it's a really flexible tape. You would tape it, clean the RV roof or clean around where the tear or the damage spot is, and then put that down, and then Tropicool over Tropicool over it. That would work just fine. Those 3 things. Tom Downey is a huge Flex Seal fan. He used Flex Seal when he recoated his. I think we've decided that the cost between Flex Seal and Tropicool are about the same. The difference is Flex Seal is rubber, whereas the Tropicool is silicone. I don't know that really makes a lot of difference as far as reliability goes. Here comes the wind. Anyway, okay, Brenda, for future problems with the roof, if it got holes in it after it's treated, the Eternabond will stick to silicone as far as I know. I'll stand corrected on that, but I believe the Eternabond does stick to silicone, so that would be fine. I'm getting a little worried here that I got a tarp that might be loose. Of course. All right. Well, we'll make the best of it. I might have to run away here, folks, in a minute, but we'll see. But yeah. So and after it's treated, I think Eternabond will stick to will stick to silicone. Let me see. Hang on here. I gotta move this up and out a little bit. All right. So according to just a quick internet search here, a Turnabond would probably stick to the silicone, but it may not stick for long. They recommend using a primer or an adhesive that's designed specifically for silicone. Worst case scenario, Henry has a different substance, not tropical. It is, what do they call it? But it is it's a rubber, not a silicone. Of course, you could do what Tom did and use Flex Seal. Tom, remind us how many gallons it took to do your 40-foot motorhome of Flex Seal? Question mark. Now I'm going to circle back here. Cat wants a Scamp. Yeah, they're cute little trailers. I don't know that you would want to go out for weeks on end in them, but boy, just a quick, week trip out and back sure would make it nice, where you're not having to haul around a big old trailer and stuff. Okay, so back to Tom's question about reading the amps inline. A clamp-on amp meter. I see truck technician says Craftsman has a nice one. I bought a Klein tool. I bought a Klein clamp-on. It was about $65 or something like that. Of course, Klein makes really good tools. So I was thinking that. Sorry, Brenda. I was thinking that you were going to seal before you put the Tropicool on. Because Dicor will not stick to the silicone. The silicone will stick to it, but Dicor will not stick to the silicone in the Tropicool. So now you could use a urethane sealants. They're very good and pretty universal. They'll stick to just about anything. But you're correct that Dicor won't stick to the silicone after you've painted it, so you'd want to use the lap sealant on all of the seams around all of the roof penetrations before you do the Tropicool. That's a cold, nasty little storm, boy. The temperature just dropped 5 degrees in about 5 minutes. But it doesn't look like it's going to last very long, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. Tom says they used 1 gallon and they did 3 coats. So that's pretty good. That sounds like it turned out pretty good, Tom. Was that the white or the black? I'm assuming it was white. So the truck technician was right. You do need to clamp on amp meter to read amps on it. Okay, so Brenda says they have a 34-foot fifth wheel that we need to cover and seal the roof. There are no leaks, just some cracking at the seams. Okay, yeah. So the other Henry's roof coating. Let me just look for you real quick here. It escapes my name. It escapes me. Durabrite. Durabrite is the other Henry that I would recommend. It is a white elastomeric, which means rubber, roof coating. It's 100% acrylic. That would be perfectly and totally compatible with Turnabond, with Dicor, anything like that. So I think, either one of those is fine. Or Flex Seal. If the seams are cracking, you definitely want to touch up the lap sealant on those before you do anything like paint the roof or anything like that. You definitely want to go around and hit all those seams and seals and make sure they're all sealed up nice. That's a rigorous little storm coming through. Okay, so truck technician hangs self-leveling lap sealant is silicone-based and would probably stick to the tropical roof sealant if silicone-based it is. Okay, hangs self-leveling. There's also the other one, which is, gosh dang it, I just bought 2 tubes of this, or 4 tubes of this too. Help me out. Sikaflex. Sikaflex is a very high quality sealants that they make. They make basically, marine grade stuff, so they're really, tough on water and they'll hold water out. So, and I'm using Sikaflex urethane to seal the roof on my truck camper to the framing and to the sides. The roof kind of comes, it's aluminum, and then it comes over the edges and wraps down, a half an inch or something like that. And I'll be doing the Sikaflex 221, which is their urethane sealant. It's typically they use it in marine environments, but I'm damn determined that that roof's not going to leak. And so I'm doing everything possible I can to make sure it's not going to leak. Let me just make another quick peek out here. All right. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I think we'll be good. It's 1/2 the hour. I usually try to do the cheap self-plug commercial, and that is, if you like the video, please give me that thumbs up. I always appreciate those. Excuse me. If you're not subscribed, do subscribe. Ring the notification bell. Excuse me. I'm going to have to clear my throat. Also, a quick visit over to my website, trboland.com, is always greatly appreciated. Lots of good information over there. I post stuff over there that doesn't make it onto YouTube, at least initially. I mean, eventually some of it might make it onto YouTube. I do have a video that I'm producing. It probably won't be out for a couple months yet, and that is using your alternator to charge your towable RVs, batteries, like, travel trailers and stuff like that. So yeah, truck technician says a A1 Sikaflex does not stick to Eternabond tape. Ask me how I know. Yeah, Eternabond is what I would call the tape of last resort. It is a dog to get off. It is a real bugger to remove. And having just spent 3 hours today scraping, grinding, sanding that asphaltic. So the guy that had this camper apparently was trying to seal up the roof, and man, he slapped that asphalt, that Henry's black asphalt. Well, it might have not been Henry's. I don't know what brand it was, but you know what I'm talking about, that black crap. That stuff is so hard to get off. I mean, I have scraped, I've used heat, basically, you name it, I've used it. But it's coming off. You'll get to see that in an upcoming video, how I managed to get it cleaned up. But the problem is that since I'm reusing this metal, I need to get all of the old sealant and everything off. I don't want to take any chances that there are any uneven areas that don't seal. I'm just being a little paranoid. But yeah, I'm damn determined that this thing is not going to leak. Not much will stick to Eternabond that I know of except Eternabond. I used Eternabond, like I said, the tape of last resort to seal up the roof on my old Class A. And it was it was tough to get off. I actually ended up using scraping, heat, and then, believe it or not, gasoline took it off. So took off the adhesive residue. I'll get it out. I'm out of practice. Haven't been doing this like once a week like I usually do, so I'm a little out of practice. So you're welcome, Brenda. I'm so glad that you came back and followed up on that. But yeah, if there's anybody else out there with questions, be sure and throw them in the chat. And we'll sit here and we'll jitter jatter here for just a minute. about, I'll go back and say that I would like to get down to the Gem and Mineral Show in Tucson. That was always one of my favorite things to do in Tucson. I'm a big rock hound, rock nut. I got rocks coming out my ears. I got rocks in my head apparently because they're coming out my ears. But yeah, I mean, I have buckets and buckets of rocks that I collected all over the Southwest when I lived in my RV full time that I'm slowly getting around to turning. I've worn out 2 of my tumblers, though. I need to get a real good tumbler. Excuse me, I'm just going to take another quick peek here. It looks like it's going to be a political storm, all blow and no show. Something real cool that I use all the time, a website that I'll show you here real quick. Let me jump up here to the split screen. Make sure I've got audio on it. Okay. This website's called lightningmaps.org, and there's a worldwide network of lightning detectors. So let me zoom out here a little bit. And I just love this website. You can see here there's a line of storms that are moving through the Southwest, basically from Texas all the way to Missouri. And then a big one moving up in here from northern Minnesota, Michigan, up into Canada. So, but this is lightningmaps.org. And you'll see there's 2 strikes here. I'm here in Pocatello. This is west of me. The color determines, how old the strike is. If it's yellow, then it's less than 10 minutes old, and then they get darker and darker. These are probably a little older, these 2 red spots out here. But what's really cool about it is when there's a strike, we'll sit here and watch it just for a second, and I'll just flip back over here to the other display for just a minute. But then when I get a strike here, I'll show you real quick. But what's really cool about it is when you get a lightning strike, it shows the sound front. It shows the thunderclap sound, and it's pretty accurate too. I mean, there's a couple seconds of delay, obviously, from the electrons moving, from wherever the lightning detector is all the way back to the server, and then back to the web, and then back to me. So gosh, that's probably a few thousand, thousands of miles. I don't remember where this server is for this. But yeah, it's a really cool tool. I use it all the time. Let me get back over here to the live stream. I totally agree, truck technician. It is good for emergencies, not for long-term repairs. Yeah, I would agree with that. Tom Downey says the amp gauge must be in series with battery and battery cable. Yes. And that's why the clamp-ons are nice. That way you don't have, anything, because otherwise you would take a meter and you would have your probe on, the cable, the battery cable itself, and you want to measure from the negative side probably. And then moving over to, to the battery terminal. But the wires on those meters are pretty fine, and you could be drawing enough amperage to burn those wires up. So clamp-on is the way to go. Here we go. I don't know if we'll catch this or not. Let me just flip over here real quick. I don't know, but if you look right here, it's just about gone. You could just barely see the ring here. That's the sound from that lightning strike, and it's pretty accurate as far as, like I say, the delay right now is about 1.9 seconds. But yeah, kind of a fun little site. I play with that quite a bit. Scotty, is that RV show in late January in Arizona worth going to? At Quartzsite, well, that's the big tent, and it's a bunch of junk. Now, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit jaded that way. Going to these, it's just a bunch of stuff you don't need, right? I mean, it's the big tent is just, I mean, there's some cool RV accessories. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some really cool RV accessories that you could get from the big tent at Quartzsite, and that's usually the first part of January too, if memory serves me right. And I've been to that, but I don't know. There's a, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. But yeah, it's, it's your typical RV show. There's a bunch of RV dealers that will bring RVs in and set them up, and um, so it's basically your typical RV show. And then there's the big tent that's in Quartzsite proper. That goes on for almost an entire month, I believe. But yeah, it's a lot of, it's like going to the fair. It's fair time, so I've been thinking about maybe going up to the Eastern Idaho State Fair myself. But yeah, so it's going to be the kind of stuff like you would get at a fair, but a little bit maybe bent more towards, RVing. But yeah, there's going to be the guy selling the glasses cleaner and the guy selling the toe straps or whatever the case may be. So Tom thinks it's a great show. Every vendor will be there. Yeah, usually that's true. But Two Feathers says there's plenty going on. She's been. Yep. Yeah, so if you're going to be there, you might as well go. I wouldn't go to Quartzsite just to go to the RV show, let's put it that way. But Quartzsite's pretty cool. There's lots of fun stuff to do around Quartzsite. And of course, plenty of, dry camping, dispersed camping, boondocking, whatever. Although in Quartzsite, it's dispersed camping is really kind of a fallacy, at least in winter. Gary says they've been to it. Scotty says we hope to hang out with the Montana owners out in some BLM dry camp. Not so sure about that, but we'll give it a go. It's pretty fun. I mean, RVers are the best people to hang out with. They're all helpful, friendly, and if they're not, move on. Find some that are, because most of them are. Truck technician, yeah, or pop the fuse in the meter. True. Hopefully pop the fuse before it melts down. Tom says, connection shows 20 amps. It will show the battery dead in about 10 minutes. iConnection shows 20 amps. It will show the battery dead in about 10 minutes. Is that a lead acid battery, Tom? I'm assuming, is it the chassis battery or your house batteries? Question mark. Two Feathers. What do I think about the Super El Nanjo? That's Nina. El Nina. El Nino. La Nina. It's La Nina this winter. Warning for this winter. Supposed to bring lots of moisture to California and Arizona specifically. Yeah, La Nina, we've been in El Nino for the last 3 years, and that generally means more moisture for the Pacific Northwest. I know Two's up in Spokane. She's up there somewhere in that general area. And so it will bring El Nino, which is when the surface temperature of the ocean out there around 30 degrees latitude warms up, and it generates more moisture in the Pacific Northwest. And then La Nina will mean drought and a dry winter for us here in the Pacific Northwest. But down south, California, Arizona, they tend to get more rain in the winter. You're welcome, Scotty. You're welcome, Tom. Tom says it's worth going once. I would agree with that. It's worth going once. Robert Black agrees that sounds like a bad battery. Tom says yes, chassis, two 12-volt Group 31 batteries. And they're showing 20 amps. Okay, so when you're measuring those chassis batteries, when are you seeing the 20 amps? With the rig running, or if it's sitting there with the key off? Question mark. Excuse me while I take a peek. How's the light? Oh, the light's actually pretty good. We're down 3 more degrees. He says, I have a dead short somewhere in the chassis. Well, it sure sounds like it, but 20 amps. A dead short would be, hundreds of amps. You got a sneak current somewhere. A dead short would cause all kinds of welding to happen. But yeah, it does sound like you've got something going on. But when are you drawing 20 amps? Is the question. By the way, if you're just joining the stream, thank you so much for joining. If you like this, if you like the content, be sure and give me that thumbs up. Don't be shy with putting your questions over in the chat window. This is a safe zone. There are no dumb questions, just dumb answers from the host. Yeah, I would agree with Robert. With 2 batteries, a dead short would fry the wires. Yeah, and 20 amps is not a dead short. That sounds like something like a sneak current or something that's not getting turned off. Between the plus and minus cable and battery. I'm not following you, Tom. But truck technician has a good suggestion. Pull fuses, see which one makes it drop. Scanner Danner has a good videos on what to do. Yeah, there's a really good one that I was watching. This has been a month or so ago, so I'm not going to recall the name of it. But it was an automotive troubleshooting series done by a technical college. And they were tracking down sneak currents and currents on the ground. Tom says, battery is fully charged now, cable will get hot. So okay, let's see if we can set this scenario up. Rig is turned off, totally turned off. You're sitting there just parked at the curb. You charge the batteries full, you touch which cable? Black or the negative or the positive? But it gets hot. So you're drawing a lot of current somewhere. But I'm assuming you put a clamp-on meter on it and it came back and showed you 20 amps. 20 amps is not enough to heat up a battery cable. So I would be suspicious about your meter. Did you have it set to the right range? I mean, if you had a dead short, you would see 200 to 2,000 amps, and it would throw fire and flame and sparks and melt, stuff like crazy. Okay. Any more questions, comments? If you haven't said hi, be sure and just say hi. That's a good point, Eric. Stuck relay. Might take a little screwdriver and get in there under the underneath the driver's seat storage compartment and tap out those relays in there. There's also a few in the back, but those are all related to the lighting, turn lights, turn signals, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it could be a stuck relay. Good point. OT will show sparks, lots of them. I don't follow you there, Tom, sorry. Yeah, there you go. That's a good point, Robert. Disconnect the battery and cable and put a temper wire with a 10 amp fuse and see if it blows. That'll confirm the amperage draw. Yeah, it sounds like maybe even a voltage drop on the main cables. Good one. Any of them. Underneath the... In the Dutch Star, I'm sure it's a mountain. Let's see. Are you a Freightliner or a Spartan? I don't remember, Tom. I think you're a Spartan. I think we've had this poke fun at each other thing for a while. So I'm not sure where Spartan is, but I know on the Freightliners, in the compartment that's right underneath the driver's on the driver's side, right underneath the driver's seat, is where all of the main chassis power and chassis relays are on the Freightliner, or up in that compartment. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. You were on Spartan. So I'm not sure where Spartan hides their main fuses and relays, but it's probably in the same compartment, just out of convenience. But yeah, I would just, if it's a stuck relay, you just take a screwdriver or anything, not hard, even a pair of pliers, and just tap those relays, and sometimes that'll let that relay release. But again, if it was a short, things would be melting. There would be fire and flame and sparks. Okay, yours are in the rear battery compartment. Cool. Yeah, I would just take a tap on them and just see. Eric says, can't tell which relay by looking. Well, every chassis varies. There's usually a chart there that shows you what relay does what. If you contact the manufacturer, I know that Freightliner will do this. Spartan should do it. They will send you a schematic of your chassis in a PDF format. That works out pretty good. I had the PDF sent to me of the chassis wiring for my 2004 Freightliner chassis that Newmar sent me. Or excuse me, Newmar did not send me. Freightliner sent me. And then I'm sure Spartan will do the same thing. It's my understanding now that Newmar is refusing to support the older RVs. I think there's a cutoff date. I don't know exactly what it is. But yeah, and that's a good point. Thanks, Truck Technician, for reminding me of that. Sometimes the relay stuck on will be hot. Good point. So you'll be able to just touch those relays. If you feel a hot one, then, and those are just plug and play. At least they are on the Freightliner. I'm sure they are on the Spartan. They're just plug-in relays. You should be able to go to the Spartan truck shop or Freightliner truck shop and get those relays. You might be able to find them online too if you've got the relay and a part number, but you want to use the exact same relay. Tom says these are the little micro relays. I have the manual. Well, the relays I'm thinking about for the main chassis, some of them are really tiny, but some of them, are 100, 200, 300 amps relays. But they're in bigger cans, right? The more amperage that a relay handles, the bigger the can's going to be, basically, or the more poles it has, the more contacts. Robert Black, he says he purchased a short tracer kit and have only used it twice. The time it saved me was worth the cost. Interesting. A short tracer kit. Make a note of that. Do you remember where you got it, Robert? I have removed all relays, still have big draw. Okay. Can you trace your battery cables? Maybe you do have a battery cable that's rubbed through. Yeah, I mean, now you're basically down to physically inspecting the cables. I mean, I don't know what else, if you're sure, and it sounds like you are sure that there is a short somewhere, the 20 amps concerns me. Okay, we're going to put that aside. If the cables are getting hot on the battery after you've charged, and the cables are still hot, then you got a short somewhere, obviously. And then I was just getting ready to say that. That's a good one. Thanks, Robert. Have you disconnected the starter and alternator? There's a relay on the starter, right? solenoid relay to engage the Bendix onto the flywheel. Maybe that's bad. Maybe it's stuck. That's a big relay that could suck a lot of juice. Tom says he's removed them. They are good. Well, I guess the only thing left is to start inspecting every cable you can look at. Pull all your fuses. Well, okay, if you're going to be messing around and inspecting cables, you definitely want to have it disconnected. You don't want it to be attached to the battery. Yeah, 20 amps, Robert says at 20 amps and not blowing any fuse is something large. Agreed. But 20 amps is not dead short current. And truck technician might agree with me on this. If you have a dead short, it's going to send every amp the battery can deliver. And, so that means in a typical battery, group 31, you got a pair of them. You got, you got probably 900 cold cranking amps, at least. And I mean, that's some serious amperage. A dead short, I would expect it to be 100, 200, 300, 400 or more amps. And again, if it was a dead short or even a short, like a ground frame, like a cable grounded to the frame, that eventually is going to melt and catch on fire or stink or smell or give you some kind of clue. Okay, Tom says the cable is O2, probably means 2-aught cable, 1/2 inch, and it will get hot. Agree, not a dead short, but something like a motor. Yeah, but it's drawn a lot. 20 amps should not be enough to make a 2-aught cable hot. I'll stand corrected on that if anybody wants to argue with me on that. But a 2-aught cable, that's a good size cable, right? He says 1/2 inch, and yeah, that's a 1/2 inch cable. Maybe not quite a 1/2 inch, but that's a lot of cable, and that would deliver a hell of a lot of current. And at some point, it's going to deliver enough that it's going to fry the fusible link. There should be a fusible link in the loop as well. Okay, which prevents direct to frame shorts from melting everything down. But that fusible link's going to pop, and usually those are around 350 to 400 amps. $20 amps for 10 minutes could get it hot. Yeah, maybe. 20 amps just is not a lot of current at 12 volts on a big cable like that. Let's see. It looks like a couple folk come in. Hi, Kevin. So glad you could make it. That's okay. I totally get that. Changing from once a week I knew was going to be a challenge, but we'll make it work. Eric Myers says radio had that problem on a car, drew for 20 amps when everything was off, pulled radio fuse, problem gone. Yeah, the radio in my pickup will drain the battery. I actually had to put a toggle switch on it. Let me take a peek out here. No, political storm, all blow, no show. Yeah, good question, truck technician. Both cables get hot, or just the ground, or just the power. Someone needs to define hot. If you grab the cable and you can't hold on to it, or if you grab the cable and it's remarkably warm. Does that make sense? But yeah, good point, Kevin. Okay, we're coming up on 8 o'clock. I usually try to keep these down to an hour, but I'm always happy if there are questions coming in. to go on until the questions end. So if you have a question, go ahead and throw it over there. We're trying to help Tom Downey out with what sounds like maybe he's got a short or he's got some kind of sneak current or something wonky going on. Tom Downey says the starter solenoid is the major junctions point, usually. There should be some kind of an automatic transfer or a solenoid or something like that up in your power compartment that is capable of, switching to send battery power to your house batteries. That's a thought. Maybe have you tried? This might sound wonky, but hear me out. Have you disconnected your house batteries by either using what they'd like to call the salesman switch? I hate that term, but by using the switch in the back, disconnect your house batteries, or go and drop the negative off your house batteries, and then see if you still have current. Because there's, at least on mine, there was what they called the bird relay. And what the bird relay was is it's a device that sits there and it monitors power on the house batteries and the chassis batteries. So the house batteries, when the chassis batteries reached their fully charged state, 13.6 volts, then it would automatically switch a relay and send excess alternator current to the house batteries and charge your house batteries. And then when the house batteries got full, or when the chassis batteries drop below 13.6 volts, the relay flips back and starts to send that current to the chassis batteries until they reach 13.6 volts or whatever that set point is, and back and forth and back and forth. The house batteries are separate, yes, but there is a connection. It is the bird relay. It is a device that allows you to alternator charge your house batteries when you're driving down the road. And and I'm almost positive that the Mountain Air would have something like that. Because my Dutch Star did. And you got basically the same year rig, except it's just just one step up as far as the fit and finish goes. It's like buying a GMC or versus a Chevy. Kind of the same rig, just different badging and a little bit higher fit and finish. For more than 5 seconds. Yeah. Can you hold on to the cable for more than 5 seconds? Good point. Good catch on the charging house batteries. The house batteries are a separate system. There is a connection there. Yeah, I would drop the house batteries and see, because that might tell you if your bird relays failed or if there's something going on there. Because, that bird relay is going to be sitting there. Its normally open position is open to the chassis side. So there's going to be chassis voltage at that relay all the time, even if you're not driving down the road. Shut completely off. That relay should be set over to the chassis batteries. But when the voltage drops and you're driving down the road, then that flip over. And yes, there is a booster system. They call it the battery booster, and really what it is that it's a switch. It uses the same bird relay, uses the same relay setup, and that if your chassis batteries are dead, you can hit that switch and start your RV off your house batteries. I would start looking at that system too, Tom. First off, I would go and I would just drop the negative off my house batteries, make sure there's no negative connected at all to the house batteries. That way you've isolated the house batteries, and then see if there's still current drawn on it. If there is, then I would just start working backwards in that system. Yeah, truck technician agree. He's seen the house batteries go bad and draw down the running batteries. Totally. And yeah, there is a booster battery. Round town double aught or 2-aught gauge wire should handle 200 amps. Yes. Tom Downey, there is not relay there. Yes, there has to be. The booster system is removed. Oh. All right. Well, I don't know, Tom. You just stymied me. You just stumped me because if you don't have the bird relay, if you're not charging off that, if your house batteries are completely isolated from your chassis batteries, I mean, you and I don't mean this, but you may think you have everything disconnected, but I'll bet it's somewhere on that chassis. Those negatives, those grounds are going to be tied together. All right? That's just the engineer. That's the way they're done. Unless you specifically go and do that. So the question is that which battery cable is getting hot? Is it both? Is it the negative or ground, or is it the positive? That might give you some kind of a tip or hint. But if you don't have, doesn't matter how old the batteries are. Battery cell shorted. Good point, Eric. But he says they're brand new batteries. Don't care how bad old the batteries are. If that current is coming in on the cable, if you're seeing 20 amps, 20 amps is a guess. Okay, it's probably closer to, I don't know. We're just guessing at this point, and we're gonna have to just quit guessing because we're just guessing. It sounds like the system's been modified, but I guarantee you somewhere that grounds are tied together between the house and the chassis and between the 110. That's an engineering thing. That's the way they're built. It's a safety thing. All of the negatives, all the grounds eventually get tied together. Even the ground from the 110, the AC power, they're all tied together somewhere. It's just a safety thing. That's a good point, Roundtown. I'm not sure. Would an IR temp gun be able to follow the hot wire? It should be. I mean, depending upon how hot the wire is. But well, it might. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a thought. That one of those might work. That's a good point, Robert. Try connecting each battery one at a time to see if you got a bad one, even though they are new. That's a good call. Okay, last call for questions. If you have a question, go ahead and throw it out there. We'll see if we can find you an answer. Otherwise, I will bid you a fond adieu until October 3rd, I think we decided it was. Yes, Tuesday, October 3rd, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll be back with another live stream where you can ask any question. I'll ask one more time, is there a specific topic that you would like to see us cover? Be happy to sit down and prepare some content. If not, I'll pick something that I find interesting. Next meeting date and time will be October 3rd, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Thanks for coming in and helping out, Robert. You're always greatly appreciated. Thank you, Judy. Yes, this was a good one tonight for sure. Enjoyed having you here. I hope things are well for you down there. All right. What is my favorite sealant? Well, it varies. It depends on what I'm doing. If it's seams and seals on roofs and stuff like that in an RV, then I would have to say it's Dicor LSL lap sealant. If it's sealing up windows, door frames, that sort of stuff, of course, butyl tape is a good start. And then follow up with some silicone. I really like Sikaflex. It's on a par cost-wise with what you'll find at Home Depot, which you can get GE silicone. Oh, there's a couple others in there. What's the other one? DAP. They sell at Home Depot. I don't know what they sell at Lowe's. I'm not a regular Lowe's shopper. I'll tell you a story about that before I wrap up tonight. And I saw a couple more questions come in. He says, Tom says, house batteries are lithium, battle-born on a total different. Yeah, unless you specifically removed the bird relay system, I bet it's still there. Tom Roundtown is on Whidbey Island in Washington. A little bit ways from Carlsbad. But he has a family in Texas. I think he spent 2 winters ago, spent most of the winter in Texas helping his daughter and son-in-law. Did they buy a house? Anyway, I know that he spent quite a bit of time down in Texas. Thank you for joining us, Brenda. It's so nice to have you here. Hope to see you next month. All right. Last call. Any more questions? Okay. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'd greatly appreciate it. Again, don't forget to give me that thumbs up if you enjoyed the chat. If you'd like to support the channel, visit to Amazon through the link in the description of this video. We'll take you to my Amazon store. You can depart from there and go buy anything you'd like on Amazon. I'll get a small commission. You'll pay the same price, and your support is greatly appreciated. But that'll do it for this month. Be keeping an eye out. Regular schedule of Retro on the Road dropping on Thursdays, and then Sundays we'll still be kicking off work on the truck camper. A new one coming up this Sunday, and lots of great episodes still to come. I figure I probably have 3 weeks of work on the camper, and probably 6 or 7 weeks of videos. Okay, I was going to tell a quick story, and then I'll let everybody go why I don't shop at Lowe's. 2003, I built a house, a little place called Shoshone, Idaho. Actually, it was 7 miles north of Shoshone, Idaho, out in the desert. And I was installing a sprinkler system. And I thought, well, I had shopped around, and so I had, a list of sprinkler parts, sprinkler heads, hose, controls, valves, wire, everything you could need to put in a sprinkler system. I had a flatbed, and I had a push cart, and they were full. And I needed a specific part. And I went and I looked around and I tried to find somebody and couldn't find anybody. Finally, somebody came by and I said, "Can you help me here?" "Well, this isn't my department, but I'll try." I told him what I wanted. "I can't help you." Then the store manager walked by. Big badge, store manager. I stopped him. I says, "Hey, can you help me here? I've got this." "Oh, I'm in a hurry. I'll have somebody come and help you." And so I waited for 10 minutes. Nobody showed up. I left all that stuff exactly where it was on the carts, in the stuff. I walked out the door, and I haven't been back to Lowe's since. That was 2003. So 20 years. They blew me off and lost me as a customer. I don't go to Lowe's. I shop at Home Depot, Ace Hardware just down the block here from me. That sort of stuff. And I try to do much on it, as much locally as I can. But some of this stuff you can't get locally. You just can't. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next month. That would be October 3rd, 2023, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Until we get together for the next one, thanks for watching. Peace. Good night.